And I'm Wyatt Elliott from Notebook Entertainment.
And you're watching Review This.
That was wonderful.
Bravo!
I loved that.
Oh, it was great.
Well, it was pretty good.
Well, it wasn't bad.
It stinks.
Yeah, we're definitely reviewing Scream 6 today, guys.
We're reviewing Scream 4.
We've got our cups that we got from
That's right.
theater.
With our two different guys on top.
So yeah, the way we'll break this down is we're going to talk non-spoiler stuff first. So if you haven't seen it yet and you're just looking for people's thoughts on things, we'll give you our thoughts on it, and we will let you know when we go into spoilers.
So you're safe to watch
You're safe for like the first 5-10 minutes. All right, so non-spoiler thoughts on the movie, good or bad, just your non-spoiler thoughts. I just want to say, because people have been watching this channel now, I've been shitting on Scream 5 pretty hard because I did not like Scream 5 at all.
I mean, I didn't like it either.
I like Scream 6 way better than I like Scream 5.
Yeah, Scream 6 felt like they found their footing a little better.
Mm-hmm. The plot and story were better.
Yes.
For sure.
There's a lot less of certain aspects that really bothered us in the last one.
Ghost Billy.
There's, it's still there. But,
Still there.
you know, like, it's still not a great,
No.
It's not a perfect movie. It's not even probably a great movie. I'd say I enjoyed it. It's a good movie.
I feel like the problem is that a lot of the characters are still kind of stuck in a two-dimensional space. They did... I like Tara from the last one. Jenna Ortega has this ability to just bring any character alive.
Yes, and that's the plus with her. Is it's not really the writing, it's Jenna Ortega that has just got this charisma about her, while the girl who plays Sam does not have that.
She doesn't have it. I did like her better in this movie. They did round her out more.
Yes, I agree with that.
But literally everyone else around us, it's like, we all loved Randy because of his character, of who his character was.
And not only
his kids don't care.
Nephew,
I don't give a fuck about these two kids. No.
I don't either. And here's the problem with it is because, and I was telling you this immediately after the movie ended, is Randy had this passion about the lines he was saying. You believed that this kid, Jamie Kennedy, was really passionate about these
movie
movies.
Nerd, right.
That he was so passionate about it, which nerds are. We're passionate about what we like. This girl who's taken over for him, she just reads the line. It sounds like. There's
no passion
she's just
behind
saying the lines out there, and it makes it feel more meta, as in we know we're in a movie, than I love movies, let's pretend we're in one and talk about the tropes.
I think the biggest fault of this movie, and we'll talk about this far more in the spoiler section, the biggest fault of this movie is that it went hard in meta. Yeah. Way too hard in meta.
Yeah.
Way too hard.
Agreed.
So hard, in fact, that it helped me figure out who the killer was before we were halfway through the movie.
She whispered to me who the killer was. I don't know. I don't even know if it was a half hour into the movie or not. And I was like, well, I mean, maybe, They
did it to themselves.
And then as you're watching it, it's very clear. And I'm sitting there like, oh, fuck, she's right. And I'm sitting there like, no, it's going to be Stu. It's going to be Stu. They learned what the fans
I not only
want.
knew who the killer was, but why he was the killer.
Yeah, it was.
And back to the characters, like even Kirby, I think with Kirby, it was our love for previous Kirby that kept her enchanting, because there was a lot here where I think Kirby was kind of off or didn't really feel like herself. And there might be a plot reason for that, which I'll get into in the spoiler section. But for right now, I just want to say that Kirby did feel off. Not right.
It didn't. I know exactly what you're saying, and I felt it, but I justified it because of how many years it's been and where she was in life. I was like, well, she's grown up.
Okay, but you still want to get your actor to give a good performance.
No, I'm not saying her performance was top notch. I'm saying that her character.
She wasn't Kirby. She just didn't seem like Kirby.
That's what I'm trying.
Even as someone who went through what she went through and went into the FBI and everything, you would still see a trace of that person somewhere. It
felt like it was. Oh, here's what I think. It felt like it was the actor came back, but the character didn't come back.
It felt like she was 30 going on like 50.
Yeah, well,
30 is still young, guys.
Yeah, no kidding.
People in their 30s are more mentally like people in their 20s.
Which they do address that when Courtney Cox says to her, how old are you? And she makes a joke about, she's super young. And she's like, dude, I'm 30, Right. But still.
30 as an adult, yes. But those of us who have been 30, no, it's not.
No, not for a lot of us. But anyways.
So I also said before on this channel that I hate in the trailer where they're like, I'm something different. No, you're not. I said it then, and it's true now that I've seen the movie. No, you're not. You literally have the same motive as someone else in one of the previous killers. Like, are you kidding me?
And, that line wasn't even in the movie.
It wasn't.
That was just for the trailer. It was strictly just for the trailer, or they cut it out because he's not even different at all.
You cannot come to me unless the Scream Killer is literally going to be the Billy Ghost.
Yeah.
Like, you cannot tell me that this is it's always going to be a person with a motive somehow related to this whole mess.
Yeah.
That's just what Scream is.
Yeah.
And I love it for it. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. But so when you use this is something different in your marketing and then literally give us nothing different, in fact, you specifically say that you're playing on the other movies.
They sure did.
Then
which, okay, so
I hated the marketing. I did.
Maybe this could be something. I think it might be time for Scream to have, well, maybe we'll talk about this later. But maybe Scream does need to take a big turn. Try something new. Try something different. Yep. I know they're afraid to because they don't want to,
just
ruin
give
the
us
franchise.
a stab movies.
That would
Cowards, just give us a stab movie.
That would be awesome. Yeah, like there's some ideas that I think that are there, but I think they're too afraid to deviate from the formula because look at the crap Halloween got.
They keep talking. We want to deviate from the formula. We're going to do something new, and then they proceed to do nothing new in either movie.
And I think after 6 movies, and we're going into number 7, maybe it's time to be a little adventurous.
Which is why which we'll get to at the end of this, but I have an idea for 7 that would be, I think, super interesting.
I don't think I've heard this, so this would be cool. I don't think I've heard this.
All right, so let's move on to themes. We're still not going to talk about spoilers, but we're going to talk about what the themes of this are, because each Scream movie has its themes of the time. Excuse me. And here I think they were very much trying to make a point about cancel culture based specifically on conspiracy theories, which we see happen daily. But I also think that the way the rumors about Sam spread shows also this societal thing we have where we always have to find a woman to blame. So this isn't really a big spoiler because it was part of the trailer and stuff, but Sam is getting blamed for Richie. People have this conspiracy that Sam was really the killer and she framed poor innocent Richie. Finding a woman to blame when a popular man or a cute man or a man that you don't want to consider did something bad, it's history. It's in history. It's all throughout history. Look at Bill Clinton. He cheated, but Hillary's the one who got raked over in the media. What could she have done wrong? Why didn't she keep him happy? How could he have strayed? He cheated, but Monica Lewinsky was the one who was the slut, the whore. He was the leader of the fucking free world, and she was an intern. Are you kidding me?
He had power over her.
But no, it was her fault, and it was Hillary's fault.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
I mean, there are a lot of people that blamed him too, but mostly just because they didn't like him.
But he didn't get the ridicule.
Not at all.
Jokes that,
Not at all.
Forever. Like I remember that time. I used to watch the Tonight Show, and Jay Leno was just merciless on that poor girl.
Yep.
But the problem was at that time, that's just how we. Oh, okay. She's the bad guy.
It's happening right now with John Fetterman's wife. Whatever your feelings are about politics, I don't give a shit. But John Fetterman, he's rightfully taking care of himself. He checked himself into a mental hospital because he's having depression issues brought up from surviving a goddamn stroke. Okay? Yeah. I don't care left or right. You should have compassion for a person like that. Instead, you've got a bunch of people yelling now at his wife, blaming her. Oh, she pushed him into running despite his health because she wanted to be famous. She wanted to be this. She pushed him into it. As if this man hadn't already had political ambitions. As if this man hadn't already planned to run for a higher office. Right. But no, it's her fault because she pushed him into it.
Well, look at Britney. It's all the same thing. Britney got all the crap. Britney got all the thing, while Justin Timberlake got off scot-free.
Same with Janet Jackson. Same guy, different girl got blamed.
Yeah, sure did. So I understand your thoughts on this. Now, this is interesting because as a white straight male, I don't know, I forget what my term is. As a white straight male, I watched this movie, and that didn't dawn on me, but once it's pointed out.
The minute I saw it, I was like, yup. I was like, this.
Okay.
They're like,
You're
oh,
right.
the internet turned on her? Yep, that seems right.
Yeah.
Not a stretch.
Yeah, and I felt like I liked the conspiracy part because that does seem where the world is right now. That does seem where a part of the internet is right now. And so again, horror is great, and Scream has always been great at pinpointing what's going on in movies, especially, and tapping into that. So. And
like you said, most people aren't even going to catch that because they don't see what happens to women every day on the internet.
And you're not going to a Scream movie anticipating a commentary on politics or that part of the world.
But the minute I saw it, I was like, "Yep, that blaming a woman for a man's crimes, that sounds about right."
Yeah. So yeah, we didn't mind that. I think it's good to address that.
Oh yeah, and
stuff.
the end of the movie, the killers even admit how easy it was for them to convince people that Sam was the one who really did it.
Yeah, they really did.
Like they were bragging about how easy it was. I also think that this movie continued on with the themes of obsessive media consumption and toxic fandom.
Yeah, it did, which made it feel like a direct sequel to the last one.
Exactly.
And a little bit of 4, honestly.
Yep.
The last 3 movies have really been about
that. Yeah. Media consumption and toxic fandom. Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
So those are the themes that I saw anyway.
And those are the ones that I think, because I remember I turned to her after the theater and I picked up on the conspiracy theory part and how the internet goes, and then she picked up on the woman thing, and together it makes a lot of sense.
Together we made one whole thought.
One whole thought, yeah. I wasn't going to say, that's funny. But, yeah, I don't know. I think we're ready for spoilers.
Yeah, there's nothing else we can talk about without spoilers. Everything else literally has to be spoilers. So spoiler warning.
Okay, spoilers.
Spoilers. And we're going to start with what we liked about the movie because we want to start off positive here.
Okay.
All right. So what I really liked was the beginning where the killers get killed by the killers. I really liked that. That was genius.
Awesome.
I think that's one of the better openings from all of the Scream movies.
And they do keep up with the tradition of having somebody famous in the opening.
Yep, Samara Weaving.
I'm watching this I swear that's her, but I wasn't positive it was her. But yeah, I do love that. You're watching this, you're watching the killer go home and everything after the murder, and like, okay, what is happening here? So it did give me my dream of kind of having like a ton of ghost faces.
In a way.
They just got, because I was always telling her they should have one where there's like 5 of them and they're dying throughout the movie, and each time they think, okay, it's over.
We got them.
There's another one.
Another one pops up.
But they kind of did it in a different way. So
here's my problem with the opening though, and I still like the opening, so it still falls under things I like. But Samara Weaving, having her run down the alley when she literally couldn't see anything she was hearing is a stupid way to get her alone in the alley.
He even told her it was stupid.
Literally, they're like, you're a professor of slasher movies and you still came running down here?
Right.
Like,
they even called her out for her stupidity.
I understand that her character hadn't been in New York City for a long time, but she's always been a woman, right? Like, so she should understand, don't run down the deserted alley, you can't see anything down. Like,
yeah, that was a little...
That was far-fetched to me. I don't think a real in-the-world woman would have done that. She would have been like, bitch, I can't see you, call the cops.
Especially meeting somebody that she hadn't met before, because it sounded like it was like an online
Tinder date.
Yeah, they were meeting up on, so like... No, that's
I would not run down there, because he's literally like, they're attacking me, and she's like, I can't see anything. I was like, then bitch, don't go down there.
You know what?
But she went down there.
I almost feel like the filmmakers may have realized that while they were filming it, and be like, okay, let's throw this line in there.
That's why they threw the line, like, how, you're so stupid.
Because we do know how dumb this is. But we're stuck now, so let's just go.
Yeah, because no real world woman, I don't care how dumb, is going to run down a deserted alley. No.
I know, and she had heels and a little dress on and everything.
No.
Like, yeah.
Right, like, what was she gonna do to help him? Like, please.
I don't know.
Please.
Right, especially once he started saying, like, there's somebody following me, and he was in danger. She should have been like, okay, come to here, I'm calling the police.
Right.
Call
me back if you're still alive in 5 minutes.
I can't, maybe go flag down some help. Something. Yeah. But,
no.
Right.
She just ignored everyone around her and just went into a deserted alley. No. Alright, so moving on what we liked. I, once again, really liked Tara.
Yeah,
I
did. Too.
did.
Oh, yeah. And I think she got better as a character because she wasn't in the hospital bed half the movie.
Exactly.
You know?
But even when she's in a hospital, she's still fighting shit off.
Oh,
like,
I know.
It's awesome.
She's
Crutches.
still. She's fucking
Tara's
cool.
awesome.
She's a movie star. Tara.
Yep.
Let's face it, not Tara, but
Jenna Ortega's a movie star. But
is a
Tara,
movie star.
again, is the only one, like the last one, where I feel like they gave a full, rounded character to. And again, I don't know. Listening to Jenna Ortega talk about how carefully she crafts her work for Wednesday makes me think that maybe it is Jenna Ortega that makes Tara well-rounded. Like, she's come up with the character.
Probably.
And that's what we're seeing. And everyone else is just kind of trying to do what the director wants them to do.
Yeah.
And there are actors like that who will, this is my role, they'll have a whole backstory for their character, everything.
Because if the movie's not going to provide one, then they'll come up with one.
Right.
To help motivate them.
Exactly. They did push Sam a little further. I will say, I still don't really like her. I don't.
I don't know why I don't like her. She's not
Right.
bad.
She's not a bad actress.
Actor.
She's not a bad actress.
I don't know what it is. She doesn't have that charisma or something. And her character's trying to be the responsible, which is fine. She's kind of the parent figure.
Right.
For Jenna Ortega, which is fine. She was that way in the first one. It's just, the
just
soul
don't like her.
is lacking
I
or
just
something.
don't like her. I can't put my finger on it.
Yeah.
And it's the same with the twins. I don't like them, and I cannot put my finger on why. Chad did get a little bit more characterization by having him soften up a bit around Tara and stuff, so he wasn't that, like, jock
I know.
dude. Like,
yeah.
like that's a stupid character choice, but
yes,
whatever.
it was. It was a little bit. And we've kind of hinted to this a little bit, but again, I don't know, this is a don't like. We're trying to talk about things we like, though. You know?
Yeah.
So, like, I guess I'll save that. But, yeah, the characters, I liked Tara. Kirby was nice seeing back, but I agree she didn't feel like Kirby.
She didn't feel like Kirby.
But it was nice to have her there.
Yes.
I like Courtney Cox, obviously, she and her there.
Yeah. And here, since we're in the spoiler, I do want to talk about, here's my reasoning for why I think maybe Kirby was a little off, is because they were working so hard to make her a red herring. Like,
yeah, they were.
So hard.
They really were,
and so I think maybe because a lot of the offness we feel is the way that she wouldn't say or do things exactly the way, like, somebody would say something and her answer would be off.
Yeah.
Or she'd go do something and, like, why would you do that? I think
agree.
it's to make her look suspicious. So I'm hoping that if she's back in 7 and they don't need her to be the red herring anymore, she'll feel more like Kirby.
I agree with that. I never thought of it that way, but I agree. It did really feel very... And it didn't feel right that she'd be the killer either. But, which is my... I've always had a problem with people saying that Sydney should snap and become the killer after all she's been. I just don't think that's in her character.
Nope.
I think it'd be an interesting twist, but when you really break it down and dissect it, are we really going to be happy with that? I don't think so.
And I do want to say this movie didn't, just real quick, I'm sorry, this movie did not suffer without Sydney in it. Like, that's not one of the reasons we don't like the movie. Just want to say.
I felt they actually handled Sydney's absence okay.
Right, they're like, she's with Mark. She wants
Mark.
to be happy.
She took her kids and went hiding when she heard there was trouble again, rather than... She doesn't need to go to New York, and she's not... Like, we gotta remember, Sydney's not a superhero, a cop, or anything. She really shouldn't be involved...
No, she's an author.
Unless they're after her specifically, she shouldn't be involved.
At this point, she's an author.
Right. So her just to go, okay, I'm going to go to a safe space.
Makes sense.
Probably the reality.
Go to your cabin in the woods, girl. Like, take Mark and go.
So, it's been proven now that we don't need Nev Campbell to keep this series going. However... Maybe whether it's 7, 8, 9, at some point, pay her what she's worth and bring her back.
Exactly.
Because that's what we're all going to want to see.
And finish her arc. That's all we need.
Yeah,
kill her or let her go run off into the sunset.
Yeah,
one or the other.
Something.
But it did not, this movie did not suffer at all without having Sydney.
The only thing it suffered from was PR from how it was handled.
Yes.
If you take that out of it, which most people won't even remember by now, it's fine.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
I also really liked Sam's new boyfriend, Danny, a.k.a. the first sane and truly supportive person in this franchise.
Which, by the way, I didn't recognize him, but he was in She-Hulk.
Yeah. What's the actor's name?
I don't know, but I didn't even recognize him in this movie.
I don't... Oh, yeah. Josh Segarra is his name.
Yeah, that's him.
He... Not only does he not believe the rumors about Sydney going around, but, like... he gives her space when she asks it. He's not like, but baby. He's like, oh, okay, you
In
need
fact,
space.
he
Cool.
he tells her, don't trust anybody, including me.
Yep, he doesn't gaslight her or
No.
try to be like, but I can protect you. He's like,
Nuh-uh.
okay, well, if this is what you need, then
Yep.
I'm going to justify your concerns. Not gaslight, I'm going to justify your concerns and say, don't even trust me.
Yep, and there's only one moment where they're all running away from the apartment after the attack in there, and he wants to go with them, and then she said, I think she even says to him, you told me not to, and he kind of was reminded of that, and he's like, oh yeah, you're
Okay,
right.
you're right.
You're right.
And lets her handle her shit.
Yep.
Like,
That was
way to go, dude.
You don't see that in not only movies, but horror movies especially. They're always, I got a protection, they die trying or something, you know? But he's also a red herring, let's not kid ourselves.
Right.
They were trying to make him
him.
suspicious. Because it's always the boyfriend,
Right.
you know?
I was like, if they go with the boyfriend again.
I know, I've
like,
been a little pissed.
Right. Be like, that'd be the third time now. Come on. All right. So I do like Danny a lot. I like the kills and the gore. There's a part when Anika falls and bashes her face in that dumpster. I was like, oh.
That was pretty, yeah.
Like, that's awesome.
That was pretty badass. Like, okay, so one thing I've been thinking about with Scream is like, especially like these last two, feels like a lot of the kills are just with the knife. You know, and sometimes it's just stab,
But
stab,
it's
stab,
cool
or
stuff
stab
with
in
the knife
head.
because I really liked when Tara at the end got dude in his mouth and
I
then
know,
twisted
and then
the knife.
yeah.
I was like, yeah!
That's, okay, you'll understand this later when we come back to it, but that's why he shouldn't have gotten back up, in my opinion. I don't know if you can come back from that.
That's what I'm saying, but you know,
Go ahead.
We'll get
That's
to
fine.
the end.
It's
We'll
fine.
get to the end.
Yep.
I also, and I know you said the stabbing and everything, but I really like how quickly Sam was stabbing him at the end.
Yeah.
Because to me, that did channel the frenzy of Billy.
Yeah.
You know, that gave me that out of control frenzy that you would believe, okay, maybe she, you know,
And
like it felt Billy to me.
And you're right, and I think that's exactly what they were going for with that, because the whole movie they're teasing her. She even said she's had dreams and everything about being a killer, and it feels good, you know.
Yep.
And you see her hanging onto the mask at the end and stuff, and you know they at least want
It's
us
a
to
struggle,
believe
right.
she's capable of it.
And I see it in that scene right there. I loved that scene where she's like,
right, yeah. I'm just, but I guess what I'm saying is that like, it's not boring, but
they're not creative like garage door kill.
No, yeah.
Is what he's saying.
The garbage can, I think, was the most we got. Then the shotgun was kind of surprisingly off screen.
Yeah, and again, I didn't like. I said this before when the trailer came out. I don't like the gun kills. Get your gun when you take your mask off. I don't want them killing with the gun when they have the mask on.
That's true.
It takes away the. This is somebody who can't be killed. You know, that makes them more down to earth. Like I don't know.
It makes it more terrifying, I think, actually.
Right, I think if he
especially
had
at
just
that
taken
point.
that dude and slammed his head to death in the freezer, way cooler kill A, and then it does feel more fucking terrifying.
Right, because it makes it feel like he's someone more, unlike someone with a gun who could shoot somebody from a distance.
Right, like anybody could get a gun and shoot
But
somebody.
We'll come back to this later, but you did mention that once you find out who it is, it does make more sense. That he picked up the gun.
It still does. I still don't like it. It doesn't matter because when you're in the Scream mask, you're not supposed to be that. You're the killer. You know, like
there's another hint to it too when he kicks in the door.
Yeah,
that I felt was a
whole
death.
bunch
When
of
I saw that, I'm like, God damn it, she's right.
Alright, so the last thing I really liked was the scene in Gail's apartment where she's like, "Can you hold on, please?" And then she hangs up and calls him back, and their phone rings. Note. Guys, if you want to be a serial killer, keep your phone on silent.
That was badass.
That was
For
amazing.
a Scream movie,
I
when
really
she
like
goes,
that.
hold on, and puts him on hold, I'm like, what? First, the whole audience laughed because we're like, that's hilarious. But then when you see the payoff for it, it's like, that's fucking brilliant. And that's how she found it.
Yep. All right, so let's move on to what we didn't like because unfortunately that's a little bit of a longer list. Like I said, overall I like the movie, but there are some real serious plot points that we did not jive with.
It's a work in progress.
Right. So I do want to start with the point we made earlier about how the being too meta ruined the movie.
Yeah.
I figured out who the killer was during Mindy's scene where they're all on the college campus and she's explaining the rules to them. And they literally are like, well, this is like Stab 2 where they were on the college campus and blah, blah, blah. And they kept comparing it to stabbed too. So it's like, okay, so who's the killer in my head? In the audience, I'm like, okay, well, who was the killer in Scream 2? It was Billy's mom and Mickey. So I was like, okay, so it's gonna be Richie's mom or dad. And I was like, well, who's the only member of the cast who's old enough to be Richie's mom or dad?
Oh, right.
Yeah. Dylan, or not Dylan.
It's time for...
Dylan Mulroney.
It happened. I jokingly said that to her in the movie. I was like, look, it's Dylan McDermott.
It's Dermot Mulroney. So I was like, okay, so Dermot Mulroney. And so I leaned over and I was like, I totally know who one of the killers is.
Yep.
And then when the roommate was talking about, what's her name? Quinn. When she was talking about, oh, our brother, my brother died and my father went off to do. I was like, okay, well, so then she's also one of the killers. And so even when she got killed, I was like,
See,
but that was brilliant. I did really like killing her so then she could move around without, anyone worrying about. I do like that point. Basically, wherever, I think it's like a half hour into the movie, wherever the scene is where she's literally explaining the plot of the movie, I'm like, okay, well, I know who the killer is now, thanks. And then how did I figure out the secret brother? Because they fucking told us the whole movie, A.
Yeah, I know. B,
again, when she's talking about Scream 2, I'm like, okay, who are the killers in Scream 2? It was the film geek nerd Mickey.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, so who's the film geek nerd that's not the twins in this movie? Oh, the guy that they keep saying is Ghostface.
Yeah, that was this kid's his entire character was to be suspicious of, to be a red herring, because he kept saying, well, I'm not, blah, blah, blah. And
they literally said how he became, they're like, you could have easily fixed the roommate lottery, and that's exactly what he did.
They literally said that. And then, oh, okay, you're right. He goes, that's what I did. But tell me what else this guy's character is.
Yeah, they didn't need him.
And
it was stupid. Like we've been saying, we wanted more than two killers. We thought that would be a great twist. But they obviously were like, we need something for our third act twist. Secret brother.
Yeah, it felt forced. It felt like, I don't know. It felt just like it wasn't even a red herring. It wasn't a surprise. It was just like, oh, so he was the killer. So we were just being told the whole time. Like, I don't know. I didn't like. Honestly, I would have liked it better if they just didn't have a third killer and just cut him out entirely.
Yeah, just the dad and the daughter.
Yeah,
would have been so much better.
But whatever.
Because again, it was so stupid the way the entire movie. They're like, "You're the Ghostface. You're Ghostface." Yeah. They were literally telling this kid to his face that he was Ghostface.
That was his character.
I hated it
because. He doesn't show up, I think, till that college scene. Does he?
He shows up when I think they're all at the party together. I think he's in the party scene. I don't know.
He might be at the party.
He disappears in the background.
That's what I'm saying. This kid is not memorable. He doesn't really have a character. Even Mickey had more of a character, And
he disappeared for half the movie. If you watch Scream 2,
yeah, he does.
Mickey is in it up until like the singing scene in the cafeteria.
Yeah.
And then you literally do not see Mickey again until the end.
Yep. It's true. And I remember at the time thinking Mickey felt like a stand-in Billy.
Because he wasn't supposed... Mickey was not... Okay, so for those who may not know, Mickey was not originally supposed to be the second killer. It was supposed to be Haley, Sydney's roommate. But word got out that she was the killer, and they're like, well, we can't do that now.
Oh.
So they changed it to Mickey mid-filming. So that's why, if you're always like, Mickey doesn't really make sense... That's why.
That's why, okay.
It was supposed to be Haley. Probably the same reason as this, where she fixed the roommate thing and got to be her roommate.
So basically, they recycled that old storyline is what they
exactly.
did.
And I'm telling you, that's exactly why I was able to figure out the entire plot of this fucking movie from that one scene where they're like, oh, we're doing Scream 2, or Stab 2. And I'm like, okay, well then we're doing Scream 2. Got it.
So I remember, because she did tell me this after the movie, and I remember we had this conversation, okay, so the third one's going to be the director of the next Stab movie or something?
Right.
Like, how is this, or somebody who orchestrated the whole thing somehow?
Right.
Like,
somebody we got to go back and figure out that the person in the third one is the one who really pushed Richie into killing in the 5.
Right. I don't, like the last one, it was Richie and his girlfriend, right?
Well,
or whoever she was.
Secret girlfriend, I guess. I don't know.
Whatever. But we don't have to have a tag along I guess they're trying to be like Stu, because Stu was kind of the follower guy or whatever.
Yeah.
But they don't all have to have that.
Well, she was also obsessed with the stab movies. She lived in Stu's old house.
Oh, yeah, that's right. She did, yeah. I don't know, but my point is like sometimes with this third kid and with her, it just feels forced.
Yeah.
That
you don't need to do it exactly like the other movies, guys. You really don't.
Was it you or someone mentioned that 3's the only, or maybe it's in the movie, 3's the only one that has one killer?
Oh, that everybody knows that, but they do mention that in the movie.
I thought they did.
That Roman was the only solo killer.
Do that again. Maybe that'd be a twist then.
Or, fine, you want to keep building off the old soap opera, then make it someone that secretly was working with Roman, and now we're just finding it out.
Yeah.
If you really want to embrace like the Saw type storyline where it just keeps building off of, then that's the direction you go. Okay, so now we've got 3. You can have another lone killer, but guess what? They're the secret accomplice of Roman.
Just feel like that. I want to see something different in Scream. I think the formula of killer, and then you find out at all these suspects, you find out at the end who it is a trope that we got 6 movies deep into now. They need to do something different. We need to either find out the villain in the middle of the movie, have multiple villains, and they die as it goes along until you're down to 1, or something. But this trope where they take the mask off and they tell the whole plot is tired. And
we need to figure out the plot along the way. We don't need the whole villain origin story at the end.
It's written like an old Columbo episode, and it needs to stop. I think that's my biggest gripe, because that's one of my biggest gripes in all of TV tropes and all of movie tropes is the bad guy revealing himself and telling his whole entire plot.
And in Scream, in the original Scream, that made sense because that was part of the shit they were lampooning.
Yes, it did.
So for them to kind of do it 6 movies in, it's not a lampoon anymore. You just are the thing that you're mocking.
Agreed. Thank you. That's exactly what I'm trying to say, is that it's tired. And I think every movie franchise at some point deviates from the and a lot of times they have to go back because the people want what they want.
That's fine, but at least they try something.
At least they tried. It's time for a season of the witch for Scream.
Right.
Scream needs that. It needs that Halloween Ends or season of the witch movie to kind of like breathe.
Let us breathe.
Yeah, and just needs something different.
Yep. And then to round out the complaint about the meta-ness, the end credit scene.
Yeah.
Like, if you're gonna do this, then do it. Have the actress come out, say her line of, not everything needs a end credit scene, and then have her walk off. To take a clip from a previous scene in the movie and just throw it at the end, it's so fucking lazy.
It was so like...
If you're gonna do the joke, do the joke.
Because, okay, it wasn't even 1 second. It was clearly cut where it was a piece of dialogue taken out of another scene, which we clearly saw earlier. So it was kind of abruptive, and she says it, and then it's gone. So, like you said, you could have spoofed Ferris Bueller. Deadpool did. Have her come out in a robe and come right out and go, dude, get the fuck out of here.
Right.
You know?
Not everything needs an end credit scene.
And then
walk off. You still got your joke.
Yeah. What that tells me is they came up with that in post. And they came up with an editing, like, oh, let's pull this
This is funny. It is funny if you had fully committed to it.
But they didn't. It was clearly last
Literally,
minute.
the audience groaned.
Yeah,
everybody with
we
us
all
who
did.
stayed, we were all like, oh. Like, it was
we
so...
stayed for this.
It was stupid. Like, I wouldn't have minded if they had done, like, a Ferris Bueller type thing where she literally comes out, goes, not everything needs an end credit scene, guys, and then walks off. Would have loved it.
We don't need a full Marvel sequence and scene or anything. Look at Evil Dead remake. You wait to the credits.
Groovy.
That's all we wanted to see. We just wanted to see Bruce Campbell.
Exactly.
And there he was.
So yeah, they try to go meta, but then don't commit to it. Like, it's just... So what else don't I like about this movie? I'm gonna say the continued assassination of Gail's character. They literally brought her right back to where she was in the first Scream. She's back to writing books and exploiting people.
That's true.
She, like, literally gets punched again because she's being a fucking raging bitch.
Yeah.
Like, all of the growth that she made over these last movies, even the fact that she lost Dewey, like... I don't see her going backwards. Why the fuck did this woman move backwards in her character?
Yeah, I guess I didn't think about that, but she did feel like it was Gale from the first movie.
Yeah, they're de-arcing her.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And it's like, I was actually rooting for Gale to die. And I hate that they didn't kill her off. And I'll get into that further in a minute. Mm-hmm. But it's like they're cowards. It's like, you killed Dewey. You were brave enough to kill Dewey. Kill Gale.
I think they were scared.
She's done in this series. There's nothing else for her to do here.
There really is.
And you know how I know that? Because you guys are literally de-arcing her character. Yeah. Because her arc has nowhere else to go. No. So instead of fucking de-arcing her, just kill her.
This movie knows it's a movie. I'm convinced of that. And everybody knows they're in a movie.
They literally they call themselves the cast at some point. Yep. One of them says, we're the cast of characters.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh my God, you guys.
I'm telling you, these four, what do they call themselves?
The core four.
The core four. Which is my theory as to why they didn't let any of them die. But
no one of consequence died in this.
For sure.
After what pisses me off about that the most is during that scene where she's telling the rules, literally says anyone and everyone is able to be killed, including the Carpenter sisters, and then not one of them fucking gets killed except for Mindy's girlfriend, which plays right into the bury your gays trope. Which is, I'm tired of the trope. And for those who don't know, there's this trope in Hollywood and in books. It happens a lot more in books, where you have a happy gay couple, lesbians, gay, whatever, it doesn't matter. Yeah. A happy queer couple, and either they're very happy or they've been, kind of, will they, won't they, and they finally get together, and then one of them dies.
Yeah.
Because you just can't let queer people be happy. And it's a trope that's been pointed out for the last few years. It keeps fucking happening. Mm-hmm. It happens again here too, because again, who's the only one of our main cast of characters who dies? The lesbian.
Yeah.
And not even the consequential lesbian Mindy, her girlfriend that we just meet.
Yeah, because she and her brother just miraculously survive.
Everything.
Again.
I hate it. That dude was stabbed so many fucking times.
I know.
Like, it's not even like with Dewey where he just gets stabbed once and you're like, okay, well, I guess he could survive that. That dude was stabbed by 2 people how many times?
I know. And I pointed out Tara gets stabbed in the back and it's like she forgot about it.
It didn't happen.
She's not
2
walking,
seconds later, it didn't happen.
No, I'm fine.
She's dangling from her sister's arm and then she drops her and she's knifing them out.
And then at the end of the movie, they're just hanging out, talking. I'm like
she didn't get stabbed in the back. Right.
Like this goes into your back. You're not going to be walking very well. Like, it's a badass knife. I know why they use it, but dude, like, you're not going to survive this.
Right. It's
not a
fucking
flesh
insane.
wound.
And then I realized that Gale stopped him from, stabbing her in the face, but still, how many times did this woman get stabbed and survive? Like, every fucking movie.
Yeah,
something happens to her. She gets shot or stabbed or whatever.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't it just a word of dialogue we hear that Gale survived?
Yeah, it's just at the very end.
So for all
you could have let her die.
Right. Maybe they were going to, and they chickened out at the last minute because of the backlash
it's just a dialogue.
It's
just dialogue at the end where they're like, Gale and someone else
and then all of a sudden dudes brought him to stretcher. Like, how the fuck did he survive? I don't know why they did. She was stabbed on the train, and we thought, well, we saw it in the trailer, but whatever. I guess she's dead. And then he was stabbed at...
And, okay, not only was she stabbed on the train, probably by dude's sister, but dude was right there. He's the one who supposedly took her to the hospital. Why would the killer take her to the hospital?
That's a good point. That is I have no idea why that didn't happen.
Why would he not just, I'm going to help her, I'm taking her, and then dump her in an alley somewhere and let her bleed out?
Right, or just go deep and hide in the train. I didn't see nothing, and then let the people take care of her.
Right, people didn't know. She wanted to stay away from him because she thought he was Ghostface.
Right.
So nobody on that train knew they were together. He could have just been like, oh my God, why did the killer help her? The killer is the reason she survived. But I want someone in the comments, please explain to me why the killer saved Mindy. Why one of the 3 killers saved Mindy. Please explain it to me.
Unless he didn't and she just...
He did. We saw him picking her up after she'd been stabbed and taking her off the train, and she survived, so presumably he took her to a fucking hospital.
Yeah, I guess
Why?
so.
Like, why?
I don't know.
I just, you guys.
He had a change of heart. I don't know.
Like,
he was so deep in undercover, he forgot
Right,
who
like,
he was.
maybe he thought, like, oh, we're gonna kill the Carpenter sisters and survive, and if I save her, then nobody's gonna suspect me.
Maybe.
But that's
why
like,
kill her in
that
the
seems
first
like really
place?
deep, you guys, like, no.
But then why stab her in the first place?
That's a really deep reasoning that nobody has like, you need something to show that. You can't just leave it to the audience to be like, oh, well, maybe he did this because, no.
You know, I also feel like having the older guy wear the beat up old mask that belonged to Billy originally was also a cop out and a red herring for us to think it was Stu. You know, I think that
they tried to make us think it was Stu.
Remember in the little museum, they even cut to the TV and they made some comment about nobody could survive that or whatever.
Exactly.
And like they teased it. They know that's what we want.
Yep.
They know that's what we want.
I've seen a report within the last couple of days while I was doing roundup for the news, that producers are saying that they're not saying Stu's not going to come back.
Oh, gee. Well, they don't want to say one way or another because they want to keep our hopes up.
Right. So kill count is definitely one of the big problems here, and who they killed is one of the big problems here, as in no one of consequence
dies. When throughout the entire movie they're saying legacy characters are up for grabs.
Mm-hmm.
They have legacy characters. Anybody could. You're talking about the last movie, not this one, clearly.
Legacy characters still alive. Core 4 still alive.
Yeah.
Like, and fuck you for Mindy and Chad are too. Tell me, Mindy and Chad are more popular than the character of Dewey. Go ahead, tell me.
No.
Fuck you.
They don't. They don't. These characters could be popular if they gave them personalities. Like, tell me what his personality is besides being a jock and the twin brother to what's her name, Mindy?
Right, the only time he had any character growth was when he softened around Tara.
Yeah.
And only in those scenes. In no other scenes in the movie.
Yep. And of course then he gets stabbed. We're like, well, I guess that was his arc.
Is it just because I think the times I like Sam the most were her one-on-ones with Tara too. Is it just that Jenna Ortega like pulls out these performances from people, or what is it?
See, that's my thing is like Tara, even in 5, I saw that Tara was clearly the star. Even though they put her up in the hospital and everything, because she stole the scenes that she was in. And this other girl definitely does not. So I feel like the only way to save this is to go with it. Jenna Ortega clearly is the bigger star. Make her the star in the third one. Not because she's more popular, but because she's got more charisma.
Character.
She's a better character, better actor, and make this girl the villain. And then it's the only route I think you can go.
So what else don't we like? The Billy Ghost. Look, I was over it in the last movie. I'm still over it.
At least it wasn't used as much in this one.
Right. And so here's where my theory about how these movies should have gone and leads into my theory for what they could do for 7. I think it was far more interesting way to go in the last one and bleeding into this one would be if it's not Sam seeing a Billy ghost, if it's Sam's psyche breaking. She had this traumatic event where she learned about the truth about her family, broke her psyche, and now it literally is like a split personality where she thinks part of her is Billy and that part of her is taking over, and it's not a struggle between her and a killer, it's a struggle between her and herself. And is she the killer? Is she not the killer? I think that is a far more interesting direction to go than you killed my son in the last movie, even though he was killing you.
I know.
So I'm mad and I'm gonna kill you.
The only other thing and I've said this before, that I feel they could go with this is just to go full jump the shark, and let's have Mindy now have Ghost Stu in her mind, and Ghost Stu
has to fight Ghost Billy.
Fight it out. Because otherwise, fuck it, man. I don't know.
I mean, I would watch that. But the thing is if we want to go a more realistic route, like I said, I think the far more interesting way to proceed here is to see Sam's psyche continue to break, and to the point where she is the killer. Half of her is the killer, and so she has to fight herself. Tara has to wrestle with, oh my god, I have to kill my sister. That's more interesting and dramatic than anything that took place in this movie.
It sure would be. Because she would break up the core 4. She would all the, and you know, be a betrayal. It'd be all kinds of things. You feel sorry for her.
And
probably.
I really, exactly, should be a far more sympathetic character that way. But I think I really want to give Radio Silence here the benefit of the doubt, and maybe the Billy Ghost is just their visual representation for the audience of her actually going through this psyche breaking.
I mean,
I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt here and hoping that that's maybe what's happening.
It felt more like it in this one than it did in 5. So maybe they're trying.
It did feel slightly less ridiculous in this one,
right? Because it felt like she wasn't directly talking to him and stuff.
Right, he was like talking to her,
and that she was ignoring it.
And I think the more interesting, rather than just give us fucking Billy Ghost, like, I love seeing Skeet Ulrich, but, I mean, I'll just go watch Riverdale. Like,
right.
I think the more interesting and challenging thing for this actress would have been for us to see her wrestling Billy in her mind. Like, you know, part of her becomes Billy and then she answers herself. Like,
yeah,
I think
it needs that.
And then that's more of a challenge for her acting wise, because now you have to be two completely different characters.
Like, Chucky series, what's her name?
Yeah.
Does that, where she plays her dad, basically,
right,
and herself,
yep,
and they go back and forth, and she does a brilliant job at
Fiona
it.
Dora.
Fiona Dora,
when she is completely different person as Nika than when she's possessed by Chucky. And that's exactly what I mean, is I think that would be far more interesting for the character, for the actress to portray, than just seeing this ghost.
You know what would be cool is, like, she could have had the villain on his knees and not gonna kill him, and then Billy talks her into killing him. You know, there's a dramatic, you know, no, I'm not gonna be like that, and then he's like, yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. That'd be badass, and it could end that way. I mean, that could be really cool, but I just don't believe so far that they have the balls to do any of that. I think the biggest balls they had was to kill Dewey, and everybody disagreed with that they pussied out. They pussied out. Is my only guess. But.
Right. You guys did it. You killed Dewey. You can't take it back. No. So, double down. Kill Gale. Kill one of the core 4.
I think if you double down and killed, again, what does Gale have left to do? Dewey's
That's
gone.
What I mean. Gale needs to go, because de-arcing a character is not the solution to we don't know what to do with this character.
Or just stop bringing her back. You don't have to kill her then. Just say she's living happily ever after somewhere.
Or
like
show her on doing her TV show.
Right, show her a cameo. She's on the news. And that's all you got to do.
That's all you got to do.
Yeah, I like that. That would make sense.
So the last thing I want to talk about with things I didn't like, because this personally stuck with me, is the psychology scene. They really needed to research more about psychologists and what they do. Because first of all, thoughts aren't crimes. Sam admitting to having violent thoughts is absolutely fucking no reason for her psychologist to say that they have to call the police on her.
No.
I immediately was like, that dude needs his license fucking revoked. Well, are you kidding me?
That was a death we forgot about.
Yeah, whatever. I'm happy he died. Fuck that guy. Like, seriously, like, what damage is he doing to people? Like, unless he literally, all of his other patients are literally, like, medicated housewives who are just dissatisfied with their life. Like, you've heard worse. Oh, you live in New York and you're a therapist. You've heard worse. Yeah. Like, don't tell me. And then for him to push her before she's ready into telling her story and then judge her for her story and say, I can't treat you anymore? Yeah. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, I agree with that.
I hated that scene. Hated it.
It was not written well at all.
No. I was like, I hope this guy dies. Like, fuck him. Like, someone's coming to you for serious mental help. They're admitting to having these thoughts that they want to stop before it becomes a problem. Yeah. And you're like, no, get out, and I'm calling the police because you're a horrible person.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah, I was disturbed by that, too, because I had the immediate thought. I was like, no, I'm pretty sure you have to have already put somebody in harm, you know.
Yeah, I think you have to literally admit to committing a crime for that, and then they can still decide whether or not they want to waive until they get subpoenaed. Yeah. So, like, they don't have to, like, I mean, they might. I don't know that part, once you actually commit a crime and confess to a crime. But this bitch wasn't confessing to a crime. She was confessing to thoughts.
I believe That's
why you're in therapy, for your thoughts.
Correct. If you have confessed to committing a crime and it's a murder or something, I think that's when they have to turn
Duty
in.
to report.
But I don't think that having thoughts or saying I stole a piece of candy or something is anything they're going to.
You're literally in therapy because you have thoughts you don't like. Like,
Right.
are you kidding me?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was not.
I hated that scene with a passion.
And it wasn't a good thing for young people to see about what a therapist is. It's just going to make them scared to go talk to them.
Like, what about people who have gone through fucked up lives? They're like, oh, now if I go to a therapist, they're going to judge me?
Mm-hmm.
Like, no.
No. And I'm sorry, but everybody has had that thought or two about killing some motherfucker at some point. You know?
Right.
Maybe not plotted it out.
I
but,
mean,
you know,
we've all,
like, fuck that person.
some of us have plotted it out,
Yeah.
but we would never do it.
No, it's fantasy. But if you think about it, that's the whole fantasy of horror, though. That's the whole. Well, it's one of the intrigues of it is you get to see people live out things that you can't really.
Horror is very much a psychological genre. Mm-hmm. A lot of times, people who are really into horror are really into psychology because it's kind of that study of why are people so fucked up, you know?
Which is why this scene needed to be better. Mm-hmm. Not only is it irresponsible, but it's also, well, it's incorrect. And also, it doesn't, you're talking to an audience who probably, for the most part, knows better.
Has been to therapy themselves.
Exactly. Yep, so.
Like, that just pissed me off. All right, so let's wrap this up with our theories for Season 7, or what we would like to see in Season 7. And I think I was already pretty clear. I would like Sam to have a split personality, and I would like her and Tara to both have to wrestle with that, rather than introduce some goddamn new Ghostface.
I think I just want to see something new. Like, I don't have enough thoughts to, like, verbally explain it. So, like, my thought is I just want to see something new. I'm tired of this trope of where it's because remember, after Scream did it, every horror of the 90s did it. Who's the killer? Well, it's one of these people.
Yep.
In the 80s, it wasn't that way. You knew who the killer was. And it wasn't any of these sex romping kids.
No.
You know? So,
no, it was the dude with the big knife.
Right, exactly. So, Scream was different. Again, 6 movies into this, it's time for a different trope.
Yep, they're losing what Scream originally was, which was supposed to be a commentary on the horror genre.
And you can do that without the same tropes.
Yep. I think a big problem in modern day is that satire is not as understood as it once was.
Maybe.
I think a lot of people are getting more literal and more... Well, that's not what it says because they can't read the subcontext.
Yeah.
And so satire has been suffering. You see that in the way people share either Onion or Babylon Bee articles, like they're serious. It's like,
true.
Guys,
Clearly
not real.
Right.
But if you read the article, but most people don't even read the article, so
that's the problem.
But I think that radio silence understood what they were doing here. They're like, we're going to be a satire not of horror movies anymore, but a satire of this series.
I feel that way, yeah.
When it's, I don't know, it just, you lose it that way. You lose it because this was already a satire.
It's almost like as if maybe they aren't satiring the series. They think they're satiring horror, but they're confusing satire with meta. And so their idea of satire is them admitting they're in a movie, but that's not what Randy was doing. Randy never said, we're in a movie.
No,
he was like,
these are the rules.
If this was a movie, this would be the rules.
Right.
And that's how he would say it. And nobody else bought into his bullshit.
Exactly.
They're all just like, okay.
But then Mindy, and I think that's the difference, is Mindy is like, this is a movie, these are the rules.
These are the rules.
Whereas Randy was like, okay, if we were in a movie, these would be the rules.
It's played differently, and it's not for the better. It's played for, again, like you said, maybe it's for the people who just don't understand satire or whatever. It needs to be spelled out for them, or the directors don't understand it, and they're spelling it out because they think that's what people want. With meta Deadpool and everything, maybe they think that's what people want. And She-Hulk and stuff.
Okay, so here, if you really want a good lesson, Deadpool is meta.
Mm-hmm.
The first Scream movie is satire.
Correct.
Those are the difference. If you need a quick lesson in the difference between satire and being meta, that's the difference. And so I think in Scream 5, they lost the satire and picked up way too much meta.
Yeah, and they went all in on this one. Like I said, that scene, not only does it feel like a copy of the scene from Scream 2, it feels forced. Them all gathered there and just talking about this doesn't seem natural like in the other one. The other one, they were talking about other bullshit first too and dating and blah, and then led into there was some news report or whatever about them locking down the school or something.
Well, they were having lunch. It was real casual. Like in Scream 1, when they're all sitting around, I know they're doing it from Scream 2 too, but in Scream 1, when they're all sitting around, they're all having lunch. And then they just happen to talk about the killing that happened at their school. In 2, when they're all sitting around, they're watching the press conference first. And that leads into the scene where they're all talking and stuff.
It's natural. Here
it just literally cuts into them already sitting there having this conversation.
Yep, and I swear they're even sitting in the same position, similar positions. I know it's a different school and everything, but it looks like it's a shot copy of it. Only these new characters and not delivered as well.
Yeah. It also didn't feel like New York City at all.
No,
it felt like it could have been any fucking city in the world.
The only scene in this entire freaking movie that I felt benefited from them being in New York City was the ladder crawling across the apartments because they're so close together and stuff. Otherwise, the dark alleys could have happened anywhere.
There's not one part of this movie where you're like, oh, they're in New York. That's cool.
The subway scene, I guess.
It literally could have Chicago's subway. Yeah. It literally could have been any other major city.
Yeah, I don't know why. It was just because, I guess. I mean,
if you're gonna go to New York, at least Jason in Manhattan. He wasn't there long, but at least they fucking got the shot of him in Times Square.
They sure did.
They had to do some guerrilla filmmaking to get it, but they fucking got it.
Sure did. They got it, man. Right? Didn't we all want to see Ghostface chasing somebody down Times Square? Did that
something right? It just did not feel like New York at all.
I heard that it was done on purpose, but there's a shot in one of the backgrounds of Jason Takes Manhattan or something on a poster or something, and they said that was on purpose. And Kane Hodder was sharing it on Twitter.
Okay, so they show. So
they're aware. They're aware.
By putting that poster, they showed more New York City than the rest of the movie.
They knew what they were doing. Yeah, exactly. But so that tells me that going to New York was just a trope. It was something to get people.
But again, just show us the statue. Have them go to the Statue of Liberty or something.
My guess is probably very
Chrysler Building.
It's probably very expensive to film in New York, and that's why.
Cool. Probably, but just something, guys. Get a drone shot. I don't know.
You know what? This one made a lot of money opening weekend. Maybe they'll give them a bigger budget for the third one. I don't know. But
third one's in France, because they all go to France. I don't know.
I'm seriously wondering, is this going to turn into Saw in the way the movies were in the 80s, where we're going to get a new Scream every year now? Because in the original
Take your time, guys.
For real. 3, there was 2 or 3 years in between, and of course 4 was 10 years.
2 was I think the year after.
I think it was.
Because when she, I've seen people have been sharing the clip of her accepting the award at the, I want to say MTV Awards for Best Horror, or maybe it was Nickelodeon's Kids' Choice Award, for favorite horror character or whatever, or favorite Scream Queen, and she won for 2, and she basically thanked the fans because she said the reason we got it 2 is because you guys went out and saw 1.
It sure was. 1 was, and that's the thing. That's why all of these new ones are picking up on his nostalgia. After they need to create something new so the next generation will keep following this movie series.
And that's what I thought 4 did so well. I thought 4 was going to usher in, okay, cool, now we're going in a direction. They're going to slowly phase out the old people. We're going to start bringing in younger kids. And it's going to start being about Gen Z's horror movies.
I think the only reason that didn't happen is because Wes Craven passed away shortly after that. And
I'm telling you that this series suffers without him.
It does. It is very noticeable. It is very noticeable. Yeah, his absence is not.
And I'm not saying I don't like their I love Ready or Not. I don't have a problem with the radio silence guys.
No,
I have a problem with what they did to these movies.
And my guess is it sounds like it might come from a little bit of a lack of understanding the series, what Scream is supposed to be. I think and to be fair, you know, it's not like the first trilogy got better and better as it went along. So if we're gonna argue,
like some of
quality,
they're all trash movies, really, when you watch them. But I fucking love them. I just
Right.
do. But it's also because they came out at a time. It's you got to think of the Star Wars. Fucking older people when those prequel trilogy came out, older people fucking lost their shit, hated them. But the younger generation fucking loved
Loves
them.
them, yeah.
So I think Scream 5 and 6 are not for us.
Yeah, probably not.
Which is
Probably
fine.
not.
It's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
It's just that, if you're gonna build off something that was very big in my growing up childhood, then
I mean, to be fair, I've heard a lot of people on social media and everything.
I'm gonna have comments, is all I'm saying.
They love the twin characters because of their ethnicity, because of their representation.
To be
They
fair,
love those guys,
Jasmine Savoy Brown, I think is her real name.
so.
She's in that Yellow Jacket show, and so I
Okay.
think a lot of people love her from that.
But I can, we all know representation is important in
It
everything
is,
now.
very
and
much
I
so.
understand why, but then don't tease that you kill her and then she miraculously comes back as she survived too. Because in the end, that's literally how it feels like, oh yeah, she survived, he survived, Gail survived, everybody survived.
At the end of it, I'm not so much annoyed that she survived. I'm annoyed that in order for her to survive, the killer had to save her life.
Yeah.
That's what annoys me about hers. For real. It's like, it makes no sense.
Well, yeah, no, that is a very important detail. But they should have either established she survived immediately, because they go through after that scene, they kind of ignore her.
Right.
Like, well, I guess she's dead. And the same thing with her brother. Like, he's stabbed to death, which should have died, and we're all like, well, he's gone. And then, it's
Right.
almost comical.
If they wanted him to be the new
comical.
Dewey character, then let him survive, but the sister needed to go. Like, one of them needed to die.
I never thought about that. They are doing the Dewey. They
I
did that with
think
Dewey.
him and Tara are going to be the new Dewey and Gale.
Oh, I
I
never
really
thought
do.
about that. You're right.
I really think they're setting up for him and Tara to be the new Dewey and Gale.
Man, that's just not. I mean, no offense to them, but it's just they're not doing it right. Then stop. All right, we're gonna have to end this.
Yep.
Penelope.
We're going along anyway, so.
Yeah, we're getting off of track anyways. I never thought about that. That's a very interesting observation, and I think that's something to watch for. On that note, I think that's our review of Scream 6. Tell us what you thought of it.
Yeah, did you like it? Do you agree with some of our points? Do you have something to say to counter our points? Because we welcome counterpoints here.
And yeah, if you do, please leave us a comment and we'll respond.
Yep.
So again, thank you for watching this. We hope you do like the Scream franchise, because we do want to see more.
I will watch as many as I will bitch about them, but I will watch every single one.
Sure freaking well. On that note, I think I've said enough now. I'm going to go over here and shut up.
All right, I'm going to go talk over here.
Okay, bye.